my fellow humans, and welcome to this podcast. Have you ever felt like you didn't belong or doubted your abilities at work, even when you were qualified? How did you handle those feelings? Today, we're joined by Joseph Alexander, founder of Accelerate You, a leading emotional intelligence coach for medical professionals. Joseph specializes in helping healthcare teams overcome imposter syndrome, collaborate more effectively, and boost performance through proven science-backed 7-week training programs. His work empowers clinicians to combat burnout, improve team morale, and create resilience and supportive workplaces. Joseph, welcome to the podcast.
Glad to be here, man.
We are
Thanks
glad to have you today. It's been a long time coming. We made it happen.
We made it happen.
We would love to have you share a bit about your personal journey and what inspired you to focus on emotional intelligence coaching for medical professionals. How did you find your way into this field?
Man, so how much time? I thought you said you had a hard stop, so we're going to have to.
You can add 3 or 4 hours
I'll
to
get
it.
it down. So that's a great question. I'm going to give you the long answer because it really sets up the stage. I'm a man of faith, and I'm a devout Latter-day Saint, and I believe that I'm a child of God. That's what I've been taught, and I've been taught all humanity are children of God. So I'm already answering a question that I feel like is going to come later. Anyways, I've grown up with this belief, but yet just based upon life experiences, there's little things that chip away at your self-esteem. And I let it get to me. And I was an officer in the Marine Corps, and then I owned a pizza franchise, and I got into pharmaceutical sales, and I did all these things on the occupational side. And then I was a bishop in my church, and I was in the stake presidency, and I had all of these leadership roles, and I never felt comfortable being in those roles. And then when some things that you just get used to in pharmaceuticals is getting laid off. So I was actually laid off from pharma, became a director at a hospital. We got bought out by another healthcare system. They laid me off. And then I got in, I said, I'm done. I'm done with this industry. I became a coach for a micro venture capital firm, coaching real estate agents. And by and large, what we did was just accountability. Now, Justin, I don't know anything about real estate, but I know people and I know leadership. But I wanted to do more than just be an accountability coach. And one of my clients told me about this platform called Positive Intelligence. And that's the platform that I use. Developed by Shirzad Shamin, wrote the book with the name Positive Intelligence. And I went through this course, 7 weeks, and I hadn't even heard of imposter syndrome. After the course, because he didn't even talk about imposter syndrome, wasn't intended to fix imposter syndrome. But then I heard about imposter syndrome, and I thought, holy moly, I've had imposter syndrome, and I'm on the path to being cured with this platform. And when I learned that, I thought, man, that is going to be really my focus, is helping people with feelings of diminished self-worth, feeling unworthy, having low self-esteem. This idea, I appreciate that introduction. This idea that I focus on medical professionals, that's a marketing thing. These marketing people say, you got to have a niche. And it's like this, and I get it. But this thing works for everybody. And that's really what I want to do. I want to get out there and help people understand their intrinsic self-worth as a human being. That's what I do. And that's actually a short version of really why I do what I do.
I wish you had a microphone in your hand and like mic drop right there. It's crazy. I've talked to people about imposter syndrome, and apparently it's something that just follows you no matter what level you're at in your life or where you're going. It's like always there in some kind of capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe you don't ever really get rid of it, but I'll tell you, I manage it so much better in my life. I feel so much better about Jay Alexander. 70% of corporate America has it or is going to experience or had it. 7%. So if you haven't had it, then maybe you're, I don't know, you're probably going to have it.
Maybe you haven't gone down that lone, hard road to really understand what it is, or do maybe some people don't quite understand that they do have it, but they're walking
Yeah.
around with it?
Well, and what I was getting at, and I don't have the data on this, Justin, but if you don't have imposter syndrome, are you a narcissist? And I don't know that. I mean, that is a bold statement. But there are some people that aren't narcissists that don't have imposter syndrome. And that's really where I'm trying to get and where I'm trying to help humanity get.
I feel
Humility is power. That's what I'm trying to really help people with.
I did not know it at the time, but I actually had imposter syndrome. I feel I still have it, and I'm still going through it. But I feel as I'm doing work, as I'm moving forward, as I'm trying to build and create something, it gets a little bit better each time. You were saying earlier how it eats away. It's kind of adding to as I'm trying to build something to become better and get past that imposter syndrome. But it's
Do
such
you
a
have
real
time for a
thing.
quick story?
Yes, please.
So back in the 1700s, the Burmese army was attacking what was then maybe Siam, but I think now it's called Thailand. And they were just a ruthless army, and they were going through just killing everybody. And they were coming to a monastery, and these monks at this monastery heard that they were coming, and they had an 18 karat gold Buddha, and they wanted to protect the Buddha. So what they did is they put this what we would think plaster all over this Buddha to kind of cover it up to hide the gold. And so these Burmese armies came in and killed everybody. And then they looked at this Buddha and thought, well, that's nothing important, and they moved on.
Ooh.
For a couple of hundred years, and I think it's back in the 1950s, there was some archaeologist or somebody who was moving this Buddha and bumped it and found the gold underneath. And then they chipped this gold away, or the plaster away, and revealed this 18 karat gold Buddha. And that is what we do with our life's experience if we don't handle it correctly. We're putting on this plaster. Underneath all this plaster is the real us. We've got a facade outside, but we are 18 karat gold underneath. So I thought you might appreciate that
I
story.
do. That's very powerful. It's so true. Some of us never chip away, though. We never find that gold. But you're out there trying to
Exactly.
help people chip away that gold so they can find their true selves.
Bingo.
That
That's what I
is
do.
beautiful. You should have led with that.
Sorry, I'm a neophyte.
I really like how you put that. Because it's a journey sometimes to go down that road, and a lot of us kind of do it alone, not understanding we can reach out to people. There's other people we can have help us on that journey. And there's so many coaches and people out there, but you have to find one, such as yourself, that you kind of click with, that you want to go on that journey with. So I'm curious, what's that journey been like for you with your clients?
What has been my journey helping clients go down that path?
Yes.
Well, the whole journey starts with an assessment. And this is the assessment, in my opinion, again, produced by the positive intelligence community, is a nice to have tool, not absolutely necessary, because what the assessment does is it really evaluates your personality style. It kind of gets into your DNA and what kind of saboteur that you have. Essentially, these saboteurs are the negative voices in our head. We all have a primary saboteur, which is the judge. We all do. So no matter how religious we are or non-judgmental we think we are, deep down we're judging
I think I
ourselves.
have like 5 of them.
Yeah, we're judging ourselves, we're judging others, and we're judging situations. But this assessment will really help you dial in on what your most prevalent negative voices are. Just to kind of let you know what mine are. My number one is hyperachiever. And that sounds like everybody wants to be a hyperachiever. No, you don't, because my self-esteem comes from achievement. And then when I get to that achievement, it's the next achievement. And so I'm never really ever satisfied. I'm temporarily satisfied when I achieve that, but it doesn't last. And so what people like me, like hyperachievers and through my program learn to do is they learn to appreciate the journey. And so that's the start of this journey. And these saboteurs, now, if we want to talk science, saboteurs, that's your sympathetic nervous system. So when you get some kind of a bad news, that stimulates your amygdala. Your amygdala stimulates your hypothalamus, and then norepinephrine, your body produces stress hormones, norepinephrine, epinephrine, and ultimately cortisol. And then at that point, you are hijacked by your sympathetic nervous system. What we want to do, in study after study after study, have shown that you cannot make good rational decisions when your body is flooded with cortisol.
I
So
feel
what we
that.
need to do is we need to get to parasympathetic. And in the positive intelligence community, we call that the sage mindset. That's where you run by your prefrontal cortex, where you rest and digest your rational thinking. You're being able to be empathetic. You're not run by your ego. You're run by humility. And Shirzad teaches us how to bridge between the two with these things called PQ reps, or mental fitness exercises. So that is the journey that my clients go on, is they take this assessment, and then every day, it only takes a few minutes every day, but they do a focus of the day, and they do some PQ reps, they do some check-ins. And after 7 weeks, they have shown that people that have gone through this program, 17 of 18 emotional intelligence competencies are increased. It's just after
What?
7 weeks. It's amazing.
Damn, it's been 7 weeks. You're like, I'm almost cured. Yay!
Now, I've been doing this for years, and I'm
Yeah.
still growing. So it's not just 7 weeks and you're done.
Yeah.
Ideally, that would be great, but I have learned that you need a coach, you need
Ongoing.
consistency, you need to stick with it.
I feel that. And no, back before I met you, I myself went through something similar with someone where I had the imposter syndrome, I had the cortisol issues, I had my achievements attached to who I was. And I didn't even understand it. I didn't get it, but it was causing me such anxiety in my life, such anxiety to not be able to perform or move forward on most things or get stuck. I didn't understand what that was, and I had to go through a lot of therapy and kind of reconditioning to understand that whatever I do and achieve something, it was really hard to understand that, because as we grow up in this world and we're brought up, they kind of teach us like, okay, here's an award. Okay, you get a prize. Okay, good job. It kind of reinforces that thinking. It's interesting to try to undo that thinking, but getting started within only 7 weeks seems pretty awesome to me.
Yeah. Well, let me say that how brave that is, Justin, that you got therapy. There's so many
Yeah.
people that try to tough it out. I was talking to a deputy sheriff the other day, and he's a little bit younger than me, but he's kind of in my generation. And the law enforcement community is getting better at providing counseling and therapy. And he said, yeah, the new guys will take advantage of it, but us old guys, we won't. And so it's really tough on them. But kudos to you for being brave enough to do it.
I feel that because it's in law enforcement or even like the military. I had PTSD. I didn't know it for a while. I got diagnosed. And just when you're in the military or law enforcement, there's so many things you do and go through every day. But then not realizing if you went through therapy, had someone to talk to, it really does actually put you in a better place. But you don't know the feeling of that place yet. So how do you know if you want to go there or not? You rather just stay where you are because that's so comfortable. But we don't realize that we can go somewhere that's even better out of that comfortability. It's tough. How would you explain that to someone? I'm curious. As I'm like me, I'm stuck in comfort zone here. I don't want to get out. I'm scared to move. I'm not sure what to do. How would you go about kind of first steps or maybe guidance on helping me to understand that there is something better on the other side of comfort? To be discomfortable, to grow.
So I think I need you to reword that. Say that
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, no worries. So if I am suffering right now, I have like, say I was that police officer, for example. There's so much trauma, so much things going on in my life that I want to make a change. But I don't know how to get to the act of making that change. I'm not sure where to turn to, what to do, but I don't think therapy will be an option. What are some
Man,
ways that you can maybe help that person guide them to help themselves?
I don't know that I have the answer to that, Justin.
Yeah.
I think
I
it
mean,
is.
it's
You've
tough.
got to recognize, you've got to be aware of it first. And so, as you're explaining the scenario, okay, the individual, you in your case, you're aware of it, but I think there comes a point in someone's life where what are they going to be willing to endure? It's just like, and you see this all over social media. It's like dieting. So it's hard to be fat, and it's also hard to diet. So to choose
True.
your hard. And so
Boom.
with this it's like, okay, it's hard to get therapy, but it's hard to stay in the situation that you're in. So you ultimately have to make the decision, which hard am I going to embrace?
I love that. That's very powerful. Choose your hard. And I actually had a conversation about that recently with someone. They were telling me like, would you rather be broke and have no food, or rich and have money? And it's kind of like, well, I want to eat also, but I don't want to be poor. So it's kind of like rich is harder, being poor, having money, and doing things to get money to build.
Great point, because you think people that are wealthy, financially wealthy, their life is easy. You get a whole new set of problems when you
Yes,
get financial wealth. So life, you just got to, like I said earlier, you got to enjoy the journey wherever you are. You've got to enjoy the present. Because if you get that goal of wealth, well, it's going to come with its own shares. That's what life is.
different level, different devils. I've heard that
Yeah,
somewhere.
I've never heard that before. I like that. Different
Yeah, I
levels.
think I heard it first from Cody Sanchez. Don't quote me on that. It's very important sometimes being a human being that we forget that growth is on the other side of the pain that we're enduring at the time. You know,
Yeah.
we're so profoundly like, oh, my life is good. I'm okay where I am, but you're not okay, and not understanding that things could be so much better for yourself. But you have to make that click.
I heard this the other day, and you got to take everything with a grain of salt if it's not in a
Yeah.
peer reviewed journal, and sometimes you even have to take that with a grain of salt. But something about the Vanderbilts and how they had all this wealth. Nowadays, the Vanderbilt posterity, they really don't, because the Vanderbilt family, by and large, after they built their wealth, the posterity just, they didn't earn it, and so it dwindled away. And there's so much, like you said, there's so much to the journey that you just got to learn to appreciate. There's something to it.
There really, I learned that recently because I was stuck in that whole thing of I have to do this, build this, create this, make this much money, and then I'll be there. I'll be wherever I'm supposed to be. But not realizing that this journey is such an important piece because it builds foundation, it builds fundamentals, it really helps build your character on who you are, who you're going to become, and who you need to leave behind. And I say leave behind, I mean parts of you do have to be left behind so that you can grow other parts of you to excel, whether it's making money, becoming a better human being, just accelerating in your own life. Like you said, accelerate you.
That's
Little
my
plug
company.
there. Yes. I'd love to tell us more about just how you work with your clients.
Typically, the way it starts is, as I said, they get the assessment, and every day they'll have the focus of the day and a check-in. And this is in the first 7 weeks. That goes on throughout the program. As long as you're involved in the positive intelligence community, you're going to have a focus of the day, and you're going to have check-ins.
Yes.
But then in that first 7 weeks, we also include a coaching session, a group coaching session. We call it a pod meeting, where we all get together. And there's so much incredible value in hearing like-minded people. I've got a
That's
group of 7 really wonderful people going through. They're entrepreneurs, business owners, healthcare executives. They're physical therapists. They're in the healthcare community. I got a marketing executive. This one gal was in charge of marketing for West Point. And so we get together once a week, and we hear it's I lead this meeting, but it's just really good to hear the feedback from different people. On the weekend, by and large, you have a 1 hour kind of class that you listen to that's put on by Shirzad, and it can be broken up into chunks. And then that's pretty much entails the whole 7 week program. And after that 7 week program, I continue on based upon what the client wants. They want one-on-one coaching. Everybody gets group coaching, because I find that there's incredible value in that. So if you sign up for a one-on-one coaching, you're also going to have an occasional group coaching session. But that's pretty much the journey of my clients. And I'll tell you, Justin, of the dozens and dozens of people that have gone through my program, nobody has ever said, and this isn't, I don't want to sound arrogant or anything because it's really not
You
me.
gotta
It's
speak
just,
the truth, man.
I'm just bringing, a wealth of information. I'm copying a lot of really smart people's ideas. And to note, Shirzad, but nobody has ever had a disparaging comment about going through the program. They all love it. Every single one of them that have been through the program love it. The problem is when they don't continue. If you don't have that accountability there,
Ooh, I
you
feel
do not prosper. But they elevate and then they think that they can do it on their own. I thought that I could do it on my own. And
yeah, same here.
yeah, but you got to have that, and it doesn't even have to be me. Yeah, I'm expensive. I do charge people, but if that's relative. But even if you've got to have a buddy alongside to hold you accountable because
Yeah.
it's just so much better. A couple of things. One, just read the Oz Principle. The whole book is about accountability. A great book written I think in the 90s. And then I've got a buddy of mine who was just diagnosed with kidney cancer. And as a devout Latter-day Saint, and Christians and not even Christians, just the religious community believes in this idea of fasting. And so I'm putting on a 104-hour fast in benefit of my friend. And and I just told him, I said, Mike, I'm going to do this for you. And if you want to join me, great. If not, but I just want that little edge of accountability, knowing that if I'm doing it for you and not just for me, I'm going to make this thing work. And
Hell
then
yeah.
I decided, well, I ought to put it out there in my other community. So I posted it on Facebook. And so I'm letting people know because why? Because 104-hour fast, I've got plenty of fat. Yeah, I can last 104 hours, no doubt. So, but 104 hours, that's hard. But if I have external accountability, if people out on Facebook, whether they're joining me or not, if they are outside looking in, expecting me to be a man of my word, you think I'm going to last 104 hours? The likelihood increases exponentially. So accountability is key to
I'm still learning
coaching.
about that. Yeah, accountability. I kind of see that because, like you said earlier, like I've had several coaches. I've worked with people, but I kind of after the coaching session ended, I kind of fell off a little bit. I'm like, oh, I can do this on my own. I got this. I don't need you. I'm accountable for myself. So let me tell you, that really didn't go over that well. It was like you said right here, and it started dingling. This is kind of like sloped down as I was at this intersection of delusion and denial. I wasn't sure where I was for a while, you know? You
Well,
really
let
have
me
to
tell
have
you
that.
another quick story. So
Yeah.
I left the coaching for that micro venture capital firm and started my own gig. And then, being an entrepreneur it's tough. But if you listen to the entrepreneurs who have tread the path before you, and they've all said this, but what resonates in my mind right now is Alex Ramosi. If you don't quit, you can't fail. Well,
So
I
true.
decided, well, this is too hard. I got a full-time job back in pharmaceutical sales, and I'm just going to do the pharma thing. And I quit doing all these mental fitness exercises that I teach. Guess what happened, Justin? My wife came to me and she said, "Are you still doing your PQ reps?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Well, I can tell." That is when I decided, okay, I am going to grow a coaching business because this stuff matters.
Oh, that is so powerful, and I feel that. Now it might make me want to start a coaching business. Shoot. Hold on a minute. Let me get some notes here real quick. It can be very tough because, like, when you're done with the program and you're like, what do I do now? Who do I turn to? Like, you're talking about accountability earlier. Like, I'm still learning about that one. It's still rough for me having someone having the right person to help you stay accountable. The right person you connect with, that you're willing to share things with, and that you're willing to build a community with is so important.
One of the things that I learned reading Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by
Oh,
Stephen
good book.
Covey that I remembered was, and I can't remember where it is in the book, but he said, there's enough business out there for everyone.
Yeah.
And what I love about the coaching community is that The coaching community is they have high standards, high morals, and they're so helpful. So when you say, and I know it's probably tongue in cheek, but that's what the coaching community is all about. If you really wanted to start a coaching business, everybody out there wants to help you. Some charge more than others. Some do it
I want
free.
to help people.
Yeah, but they're very helpful. It's a great community.
I love how you said that because I was actually just on a call with another coach recently talking and having this conversation. He was asking me, "Are you a coach?" I'm like, "Me? I don't think so." I'm trying to help people run their businesses. And then as we started talking, I'm like, so basically I'm coaching them into understanding how to run their businesses in cybersecurity and to how to implement things. So I guess technically I was trying to figure out what's the difference between a coach, a mentor, I was kind of like trying to figure those things out. And he was kind of explaining them to me because I mean, I like helping people, I have this urge and this need to want to help people find their value, their gifts.
Well, Justin, my belief is, for one, Shirzad talks about it. You can go to the ICF, the International Coaching Foundation, and learn this. But coaches don't charge enough. They're underpaid, but you're worth your money. You deserve to be paid. And what I have learned is that when good people are financially rich, more people benefit. It's a good community. It's a great occupation because why not get paid to help people and help them make more money sometimes?
Yeah.
So yeah,
You can get paid to uplift people and make a change and bring value. I believe in bringing value to people best I can.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. I wanted to talk to you more about emotional intelligence, not only through coaching, but just through as being a human being. Like I find myself sometimes very emotional as a human being and not understanding where I need to be or quite sometimes where I am in my emotional intelligence as a human being.
When you say, like, I'm very emotional, I'm very
Yes.
sensitive, even
Yeah.
though you might be able to see that big bad Marine over there.
Hell yeah, brother.
I'm not that big and bad. Very sensitive guy. But
Same.
that's really not a description of emotional intelligence. So
Yeah.
the idea, I'm not even sure where the term emotional intelligence came in the beginning. But Daniel Goleman is really the guy who gets credit for it. He wrote the book of said book or emotional intelligence in the 90s, updated it in the early 2000s. And he broke emotional intelligence down into four categories: self-awareness, self-regulation, social awareness, and relationship management. And then from there, when he originally wrote the book, he had like 25 different competencies that fell under each of those categories. And then when he updated the book, he got it down to 18. But when we talk about emotional intelligence, we're really talking about those four characteristics, those four components. Because to be self-aware is just understanding the emotions that you're having at that moment.
Yeah.
Self-regulation is how you react or respond based upon how you feel. If you have high social awareness, that simply means, okay, I understand I'm angry right now. If you have high emotional or self-regulation, then you know, okay, now's not the time to deal with this. If you have low self-management, self-regulation, then you lash out and you react.
That's what a lot of us are
Yeah.
sometimes. We're in that
And
category.
that's why it's so important to have at least those two components. Then when you move on to relationship management, social awareness, that's like walking into a room and kind of getting the vibe, understanding, the tenor of the room,
Yes.
and really understanding, when you're talking to somebody when they're done talking to you, or do they want more? And sometimes that's hard to do. But then in relationship management is again how you respond or react in those social situations. So that's what really emotional intelligence 101. And the cool thing about my program is that of those, I told you there's 18 competencies,
Yes.
17 of the 18 competencies are raised after only 7 weeks. So the question is, being the humans that we are, we say 17. Well, how come? What's the 18th? The 18th was a category called organizational awareness. And Shirzad early on, if you look at some of his early videos, he'll say, yeah, we just didn't raise organizational awareness that good. His platform, he realized it probably does increase organizational awareness. I just don't think I had a good question to gauge the growth of organizational awareness. So it's really insightful for him. But when you look at this and you look at the white papers that Shirzad, the positive intelligence community has done, I mean, they put people in functional MRIs and have evaluated, looked at the brain when they are stressed versus when they're being hijacked by a saboteur versus when they are in sage mode. And the different parts of the brain light up when they do these PQ reps. I talk about these PQ reps and I'm remiss that I haven't told you what they are. Would you like me to tell you what they are?
I would love to know what they are.
Ultimate teaser out there. It's almost embarrassing, Justin, to tell you how simple these PQ reps are. But it's really simple. It's simply taking advantage of the neuroplasticity in your mind. Your mind is elastic. You can change the neural paths by the things you tell yourself, the things you teach yourself, the things that you do over and over. And that's what these PQ reps do. But the elementary PQ reps are just taking advantage of about 6 things. Breath work, okay? Start with breathing in your nose and out your mouth. And if you listen to Andrew Huberman, you want to blow out like you're blowing through a straw because that helps stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system.
Hearing that a lot.
So in your nose, out your mouth, blow out through a straw. Do that 3 times to kind of start to quiet your mental chatter. And then here's what I like to do. I said your senses, right? You got touch, you got hearing, you got sight, you got smell, and you've got your taste. You can use any of that to do a PQ rep. I like to do the tactile, rubbing your fingers together. And that's all you do. You just rub your fingers together for 10 seconds and you don't judge I'm a guy and I'm sitting there thinking, man, my hands are so soft. I'm a wimp. So you don't do that. You don't judge yourself. You just focus on your fingerprints, your fingertip ridges. Another one that I like to do is just listen to what's furthest away, listen to what's closest to you. And you just really dial in on that. Now, throughout this process, Justin, your mind's going to wander. Don't beat yourself up. Everybody's mind wanders.
I was just thinking about goose fob on the ears as I was doing that.
That works too. I heard one of the PQ coaches say, all right, I want you to close your eyes and I just want you to feel like a feather is being run across your forehead. And I thought, and I felt, not really, but I felt that feather across my forehead. And talk about quieting the mental chatter. It works. And so you can do that. We've had doctors go through the program. Doctors don't have time in between patients when they're going from room to room to room they don't have time to do a 2-minute PQ rep. So what they learn to do is they walk into the room, they make eye contact immediately with them, and they look at the color of their eyes. They really look how the beauty of their irises and the kaleidoscope of their eyes. Are their pupils dilated? Are they constricted? Do they have a lot of vessels popping out in the whites of their eyes? And they really kind of look in their eyes and they listen to their voice, the tone and the tenor of their voice. They grab their hand, they shake their hand, they feel their grip. Is it warm? Is it cold? Is it rough? Is it smooth? Do they have a good firm grip? Do they have a sissy, wimpy grip? And you can connect with other people by doing that. And you can also connect with yourself by doing it.
Yeah, that is beautiful.
Those are PQ reps, man. That's how easy it is. But you do it throughout the day, and you just start to learn to your sage brain, that prefrontal cortex, your rest and digest really begins to dominate your mental capacity, which is a beautiful thing because we spend so much time just in fight or flight. That's the sympathetic nervous system.
I know what you're talking about.
Write that stuff down.
Oh, I feel that so hard. I had some things going on recently that I was like, I've learned stuff like this, like the breathing, and it's just all went out the window because clearly I haven't put the right habit in to remember it, to do it when things are happening. That's one of the things I kind of fall short of sometimes. Definitely time.
It takes a while to build a habit.
Yes.
I've heard everything from 14 to 28 to 100 days. I tend to
Mhm.
lean towards. I think it's like 101 days. There's some study out of University of London. Maybe it takes a long time. It's not
101.
14 days.
101
It takes a while.
Dalmatians. What? It's a long time.
It's a long time because you're
What about
dealing with your brain. And if you look at YouTube, you can find pictures of videos of neural pathways being developed. Those things are sped up, man. It does. It's not quick. It takes time to develop neural pathways.
that is so true. You know, I like how you said that because a lot of us think things are so fixed and things can't be changed. But any behaviors we have, the way we're acting, the way we're thinking, doing things, nothing is fixed. There's always an opportunity for it to grow and change. But we have to give ourselves that patience, that kindness to allow it to take its turn and just do the process. Just allow it
Yes,
to
sir.
happen. And it's tough sometimes, especially in the lives we live. But then the jobs we have are just like, go, go, go. I want this done now. Scrolling on TikTok 15 seconds. Okay, I need a new fix. We just gotta calm down, process, journey, breathe. I have to remind myself that all the time. And it's tough sometimes. You're so
Yeah,
caught up in the world.
there's some to that Wim Hof dude. I got his app, and I do his breathing every morning. And
What
see
app
that
is this?
it's just WIM Hoff, HOFF, Wim Hof. His nickname is the Iceman because he does the cold plunging.
Ooh,
I do the cold plunging. You start with showers, but I mean, his app is really good. I highly
to check
recommend it.
that
And
out. Yeah. What does it all
the
offer?
what's that?
What does it all offer?
Stuff like that. If you do the Wim Hof method, it includes cold therapy. So you start in the shower, which I think is more miserable than getting in a tub of water. And you do
Flow
the
death.
breathing. Those are the two that I mean, I'm not subscribed to it right now, but I highly
Okay.
recommend anybody, especially getting into it.
I'll have to check
I
that
I mean, I
out.
have a very detailed routine in the morning, with prayer and meditation and breathing and cold plunging
And
and doing push-ups and stuff. I mean, it just starts my day off right. And getting that Wim Hof app is a good springboard into developing morning routines.
I've always said, and I've heard that you should have a great morning routine. Like you said, it starts off your day in the right direction. You have those short, small wins, like making your bed, brushing your
Yeah.
teeth, doing your yoga, your push-up. I work out in the morning. This really makes the direction of the day go a lot better so you can handle all the things that are about to come down from the heavens and try and take everything over in your life.
Well, that's the idea behind the book, the 5 a.m. club. You get up early. Whatever. It doesn't have to be 5 a.m., but just have
No.
some alone time and do some of those routines every day.
Yeah, I heard recently, maybe it was Andrew Huberman, but talking about no, I'm sorry, it was from the Ultimate Human podcast. The first 90
Gary
minutes you
Brecka.
get Jerry Brecka. I love that guy.
Huh?
First
Yeah, I do
90
his
minutes of
reading
your
too.
day are yours, no one else's. Do you in those first 90 minutes. Have some water, do your yoga, your working out, your amino acids, but just those 90 minutes are yours. So you can
Yeah.
make the day go a lot smoother the rest of the way. Yeah, some real truth to that.
Yes,
Great.
sir.
Well, I've loved having you on here, Joseph. It's been great talking with you. I really enjoyed this.
It's been my pleasure and honor. Thank you, Justin.
Yes, and also before we wrap it up today, is there anything that you would like to leave our audience with, and how they can reach out to you as well?
My coaching website is accelerate-you-coaching.com, and that's accelerate with an EX and not an ACC, accelerate-you-coaching.com. And I don't just focus on medical professionals. I focus on anybody who feels like they need to improve their life.
A lot of us really need that help. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for that. And one last thing that I always ask all of our guests before we wrap it up, what does it mean to you to be a human being?
It means to be a child of God.
That's so simple, so short. But
That's
it's
it.
very
I'm
beautifully
a
well
child
said.
of God. I believe we're all children of God.
Well, very beautifully said, very simply put. I appreciate that very much.
Thanks for having me on, Justin.
Thank you,
My pleasure.
Joseph. Yeah, you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye bye.